Hello there again. I see you've come back for God knows why. But welcome back to Tale Time with Mr. Keyboard. In this episode, I'll be telling you a story like no other. A story that's guaranteed to keep you on the edge of your seat. And when it's over, you'll be begging for more. Or no more. I'll be telling you the story of tying my shoes. Now, if you're new to the Tale Time series, I recommend you watch episode 1 so you'll get an idea of what this is all about. But anyway, let's get right into it. One morning, I was just sleeping. Yeah, I sometimes do that. Then, suddenly, out of nowhere, my life support was shut down. I heard the beeping of my heart rate going crazy. And then, flatline. Oh, wait, that was just my alarm clock. Never mind. That's much worse, if anything. It was time for me to get ready for school. I pried my eyes open with some spare clamps I keep on my nightstand. I blinked a few times to get the crust out of my eyes. The rest of the crust that remained was just peeled off. I laid in bed for a little while, questioning my existence. What was my purpose? Why must I partially deprive myself of sleep just to sit in some rooms for 6 hours, listening to a stranger tell us things I mostly already know and won't ever use in my life? I pressed the snooze button a few more dozen times. Then, when it was too late, I noticed. It was 7:20. I had overslept. I swore at the sight. Tushy salad! I got up out of bed, stumbling and walking like a crippled zombie. Okay, I can't walk like this. I cracked my back, along with every other joint in my body. Okay, much better. I was no longer crippled. I kicked my door open because I can. Ow. Never mind, it's a pull door. I pulled my door open. Then I walked to the stairs and slid down, like anyone else would do. When I got downstairs, I went to the kitchen. It was time for breakfast. I went into the pantry and chose my meal. Bread. Nah, too flavorless. I got some Rice Krispies instead. I got a bowl, too, and some juice to wash down my meds. I poured myself some juice, and being as tired as I was, I poured it into the bowl. I cursed again. Dick noodles! And out of confusion and frustration, I threw the bowl onto the floor. And I got a new bowl. This time, I poured the milk into the... I poured the milk in first. I got another bowl, poured the cereal in, then the milk. Okay, finally. After all that hard work, I've got myself a mighty feast before me. I carried it to the table, sat down, and I chewed and chewed. It felt... I'm getting carried away again. So I ate my breakfast, and let out a great comedic burp. And some Rice Krispies came up with it, so I got to taste it again. Now, it was time to get dressed. I climbed up the infinitely tall hill, which is the stairs. Then I went into my room, and got dressed. I wore my business suit with the pants it came with. Along with that, I put on my trusty rainbow fedora with some sunglasses. Now you may be asking, why the extra protection? Because I didn't want to get any contact with the sunlight. I'd melt like the special snowflake I am. I put my socks on too. Now, there is just one thing left to do. Put my shoes on. Since it was the day we were going to be at the gym in PE, I'd have to wear athletic shoes. I went downstairs, opened the closet, and looked at the shoes with determination. They stood out with their bright colors and flashy looks. I physically and mentally prepared myself for this. Not for putting them on, but for tying them. It's such a painstaking and agonizing process, and I had to get it over with. I slipped them right on, not that much of a problem. I adjusted them a little bit to fit onto my feet better. Now, it was time for the climax of the story. I reached out, grabbed the ends of both laces, and started tying them together. I felt them resisting, but I resisted back their resistance. I made the first knot, but I wasn't anywhere close to being finished. I kept struggling, pulling and bending the strings probably made by Satan himself. I wrapped the strings around each other over and over again, barely keeping my fingernails on the tips of my fingers. Well, actually, some fingernails peeled off. It was worth it, though, because I had the first shoe tied. On to the next one. With my partially fingernail-less fingers, I started to wrap the strings around each other, watching as my fingers turned dark pink. Okay, the first knot was done. I just had to make the 2 loops. Some skin was falling off, but that was the least of my worries. I worked through the pain, making more loops and knots with the strings. More and more skin and fingernails peeled off as I pulled and struggled to make the final knot. Then, I did it. I was all finished, with barely any of my hands left. Bones were showing, and my laces were now dark red with my blood. The hard part was done. I got my backpack and walked out of the door. It was now time for me to walk to the school. Then I tripped on my shoelace and cracked my skull open and died again. The end.